the senior senator from the great state of Texas, John Cornyn. Senator Cornyn, good to see you. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
More than 20 states are already voting, sir. November 5th, rapidly approaching. The latest 538 poll has Kamala Harris and Donald Trump even in the swing states of Michigan, Nevada, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Those are all states where Republican Senate challengers are very much in the hunt to unseat incumbent Democrats. What are you doing, sir, to help get these candidates over the finish line?
Well, I think the fact is that President Trump is peaking at the right time, and all of our Senate candidates are very close to President Trump in terms of their polling. They're not as well known, but that gap should close. And the fact is that the people who are voting for President Trump are not likely to vote for the Democrat for the Senate. What we need to do is make sure they vote in all of these top races, not just for President Trump. But if we see that that happen, the sort of voter turnout we're seeing, the positive polling and the trend numbers look very positive toward the likelihood, the probability of having a Republican majority in the Senate. President Trump's going to need a Republican majority to work with.
As you point out, how the candidates like Tim Sheehy in Montana, Bernie Moreno in Ohio do is also to some degree dependent on that performance at the top of the ticket. President Trump seems to have some momentum now in a number of these swing states. Kamala Harris sat down for a very contentious one-on-one interview with Fox News' Bret Baier this past Wednesday. Her answers, well, I'll let you listen to what she had to say.
Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency.
You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump.
Senator, this is probably her first contentious interview since becoming the Democrat nominee without a single vote. It may be her last. Your reaction to Ms. Harris's performance?
Well, I think this is what happens when you refuse to engage with the public and you expect to become the next president. She has not been battle-tested like President Trump has. President Trump has exposed himself to all of the interviewers, whether it's positive or negative, hostile or friendly, and it's helped him be a better candidate. Kamala Harris has not done that, and I think it shows. Plus, I think it's kind of an act of desperation that she would appear on Fox knowing that she would be asked the hard questions, and as you saw, she didn't want to answer any of them. She wanted to argue with Bret Baier, and I thought it was a disaster for her.
Senator, you've been traveling the country. You've been campaigning along with these other Senate Republican candidates that are out there. What are people telling you now about the strength of the Trump campaign this time around as opposed to 2020? And what is the issue that folks come back to time and time again that is really driving them to the polls?
Well, I think they talk about things like high prices, high costs that associated with 40-year high inflation. They're, of course, very concerned about the border, which here in Texas is at the top of everybody's list of concerns. Kamala Harris hadn't really made up her mind whether she's going to be her own candidate with new policies or whether she's just going to continue the status quo. Most polling shows that people believe the country's heading in the wrong direction, and she certainly doesn't seem to be offering them any hope for a new direction. But that having said that, as you've pointed out, these polls are very close. We know the polls can be a little misleading, and they're a snapshot and maybe indicate some trends. But to me, the most positive thing for President Trump and our Republican candidates for the Senate is the trend. And here we are roughly 19 days before the election, and the numbers seem to be heading in a positive direction. And as far as Kamala Harris and Democratic candidates, I would be worried if I were them.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.